Alright, it's time for more fun in Clip Studio Paint. This time I'm going to do a portrait. I'm going to study this portrait of this young lady right here. And I'm going to use this grid method. Now, this is the first time I've ever seriously used this method. The advantages here is that you're breaking down each part of the drawing by these little, these squares, and so each little square is one little masterpiece, so to speak, or at least theoretically. That would be the idea, is to practice getting, positioning things, putting things in the right spot, measuring things. It's definitely very tedious, especially considering the fact that I've never done it before. Certainly never tried it seriously. Usually, I would, in the few times that I've attempted this in my lifetime, I would get started with it and realize, oh my goodness, this is this doesn't make it any easier. So anyway, I'm going to do it for real, and the results are going to be interesting. I definitely did a good job. It took about 4 hours to do. So here, like, I'm doing the hair and it looks really weird, but that's because I'm just trying to get the most basic shapes in, proportion. I guess, I want to put them in each square along the grid as accurately as possible. And then when I'm done, it should be a reasonable facsimile of the face that I overlaid the grid on in the first place, right? Theoretically. And I definitely think I did a good job, but I'll need more practice. So, yeah, I'd really like to, so that's been an hour so far. This is what I've got done in about an hour. Of course, I didn't do this all in one sitting, but I'm kind of obsessed with the idea that I kept track of my time, because that's kind of one of those things I obsess about. I don't want it to take so much time, and that's why I don't practice enough, because I know that it's going to be very time consuming. So here I'm trying to get the mouth down. I have very little experience, with creating value and creating form. And so I've got these messy lips, but I'm just going to settle for them right now and move on. The objective here is to finish this portrait, not wallow away in, a perpetual state of it's not right, it's not right, it's not right, and when will it ever be right? It'll never be right. This portrait is a study, and then I will move on to another. So the nose, I'm not really happy with, but again, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna move on. That's the key. Because really, on the other side of that's where I'm trying to figure out, that took about 40 minutes to get that nose done. And I question myself, am I really trying to, do a line drawing here, or is my ultimate goal to do a form study or a value study? And I guess ultimately I am trying to get to the point where I'm doing a value study, because I think that's the secret of great art, no matter how you cut it, is do you understand value? And until you understand value, you can't create forms. And if you can't create forms, you have a hard time. You have a hard time. Sorry, I'm blabbering away. I really want to make these videos fun and interesting and educational, but right now I'm so deep in the, self-tutorial mode as it is, that it's difficult for me to really get beyond that. You see, this eye is giving me a lot of trouble, but eyes, of course, give me a lot of trouble. The human skull in general gives me trouble. So this took a while to nail. I mean, I really think I definitely did a pretty good job. I think we're getting somewhere, because the eye seems to have a little bit of life. It seems to look to be about the right size. Seems to be, somewhat dimensional. So now it's time to move on to the other eye. And this took a little while, because I could tell it wasn't right. And even when I got it quote-unquote right, see how the measuring that I'm doing? This is the kind of thing I refused to do when I was younger. I would never draw like this, and this, and consequently, I never really developed a lot of really great drawing. Certainly never learned to draw realistically. So I'm working away, working away, working away. Don't think I finished my thought. Oh yeah, I did finish my thought. I want to make these videos fun. I want to make them educational and interesting. Okay, so here I'm done. Surprise, surprise. And so this is the portrait I actually, I'm just overlaying it to say, did I capture this girl's likeness, or do I just, I would say yes and no. I definitely did pretty good job for someone who knows barely anything about digital painting. Never mind, I have hardly any knowledge about illustration in general. Well, let's say experience. Knowledge about illustration, I mean, I have some idea here and there. Anyway, look at this. I'm trying to figure out, okay, so hair? No way. So what I had to do was I had to break it down. I had to say, what I got to do is continue to use this grid to try and do the hair, because hair is one of my enemies. I don't do hair. I never do it. That's why I don't know anything about it. So I'm trying, and one of the things is that as we move along here, I'm definitely not using the grid as much as I should. As I struggle with these values and the forms and trying to make it look like real hair and all this stuff, I'm definitely straying away further and further from actually using the grid to map out the the rendering of this. But I am giving it one hell of a try, because as I try to stress in some of these videos, the old me didn't try hard enough, and that's why this guy is making these videos, these studies, these absolute studies. I certainly do not have any experience. Well, everything you're seeing here is basically me, like, guessing. Okay, so I'm gonna settle for that hairdo. I wouldn't call it good, but at least it's a try. And so that took 20 minutes, not too bad for someone who never does hair. And now I'm gonna try and apply values to her. And again, I'm just gonna absolutely plow my way through it, through sheer determination to get something accomplished. If you've watched these videos, you hear me say this stuff over and over again. I don't know what I'm doing. And as I say, I don't know what I'm doing because I don't. That was 40 minutes. Yeah, and there I am just mentioning that I'm straying from the grid. I'm coloring her based on, trial and error from my imagination. I'm really not looking at the grid and trying to make it. I'm losing focus. Just trying to create a three-dimensionality here rather than try to use the image, the original image with the grid on it as a map. And that's why I think it's kind of going a little south. But all in all, it's okay. Now watch what happens here. Somewhere around here, I'm going to literally obliterate her nose and ruin this whole painting. And quite frankly, I should have just kind of made a couple of finishing touches and stopped about, in sped up time about 5 minutes ago, but in real time maybe an hour ago. So anyway, she's almost done. I've almost had it with trying to rework her and refix her, and I think she looks pretty good. See how her nose is obliterated? I'm completely screwing this up. So I kind of fixed it up as best I could and just said, okay, I'm done with this study. Next is, I don't know what's next. Next is another video. So that'll be coming up pretty soon. And zippity-doo-dah for that. Basically, I'm just trying to get a handle on creating videos and uploading them. And hopefully in the future I'll be able to do some real nice tutorials, because You're not going to get an argument from me that this is pretty good. It's just that pretty good is really not, you know, I've said this before. I don't want pretty good. I want to have a total understanding of what, or at least a thorough understanding of what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to sign off now.